Welcome to Hot Drama TV.
Every step has meaning. The quiet journey of Liu Yuning. Before you scroll away, let me ask you something. What if the hardest part of your journey is the part no one will ever clap for? What if the steps you're taking right now, the quiet ones, the exhausting ones, are shaping a future you can't see yet? This is not just a story about Liu Yuning. This is a story about what happens when you refuse to stop walking. Stay with me. There was a time when Liu Yuning was just another voice in the crowd. No spotlight. No stage bathed in light. No certainty that tomorrow would be any different from yesterday. All he had were steps, small ones, and sweat that no one applauded. Most people only notice success when it blooms. They admire the flowers. They photograph the moment. But very few stop to ask, who watered the soil when nothing was growing? This story begins there. Liu Yuning's journey is not a tale of sudden miracles. It is a story written slowly, line by line, in the quiet hours when effort feels invisible. Each step he took carried no guarantee of reward. And yet every step mattered. Because progress in its truest form is rarely loud. Sometimes it looks like repetition. Sometimes it feels like standing still. Sometimes it is simply choosing not to quit again and again. And that choice costs sweat. Sweat is often misunderstood. People see it as exhaustion, as sacrifice, as something to be endured and forgotten. But in Liu Yuning's story, sweat becomes something else entirely. It becomes water. Every drop feeds the future. Every late night moistens the soil of what has not yet appeared. Every unseen effort prepares the ground for something beautiful to grow. The flowers do not bloom because of luck. They bloom because someone believed in seasons. What makes this journey compelling is not just resilience, but intention. Every step has meaning is not a comforting phrase. It is a responsibility. It means even when no one is watching, the step still counts. Even when doubt is louder than applause, the step still shapes the path ahead. For Liu Yuning, meaning was not something discovered after success. Meaning was something carried through the struggle. And that is why his story resonates. In a world addicted to shortcuts and overnight fame, his path moves in the opposite direction. It reminds us that growth does not rush. That art, character, and strength take time to root themselves deep enough to survive storms. This is not the romance of suffering. This is the dignity of persistence. The quiet confidence that says, I am becoming, even if you cannot see it yet. Fans don't just follow Liu Yuning because of where he stands today. They follow him because they recognize the journey. They see their own long nights, their own doubts, reflected in his steady forward motion. He becomes a mirror. A reminder that we are not behind. That we are not failing. That we may simply be in the season of watering. And one day, often without warning, the flowers appear. Not as a sudden miracle, but as a natural consequence. By then people may say, he was always meant to succeed. But only those who walk the path know the truth. Success was grown. Step by step. Drop by drop. Day after day. So when you hear the words, every step has meaning. Every drop of sweat is watering the flowers of the future. Remember, this is not just a quote. It is a quiet promise. That nothing you give with sincerity is ever wasted. That effort leaves traces, even when unseen. And that somewhere ahead something is already growing because you chose to keep going. But here is the part most people don't talk about. The waiting. Waiting is the hardest season of all. It is the time when effort feels heavier than hope. When progress is measured not by applause but by silence. When you ask yourself quietly and honestly, is this really going anywhere? Liu Yuning waited. Not passively but with discipline. Not with despair, but with faith built from repetition. Each day he showed up not knowing if the future was listening. That is courage. There is a dangerous myth we are taught to believe. That if something matters, it should come quickly. That if you are meant for something, the road will open easily. Reality tells a different story. The most meaningful journeys resist us. They test our patience. They strip away ego. They ask one question again and again. How badly do you want this when no one is rewarding you for it? Liu Yuning answered that question with action. What separates dreamers from builders is not talent. It is tolerance for uncertainty. And uncertainty was a constant companion. Every step forward could have been the wrong one. Every effort could have led nowhere. But meaning is not created by certainty, it is created by commitment. This is why his story feels real, because it was never guaranteed. When success finally becomes visible, it often looks effortless from the outside. The years compress into a single moment. The struggle is edited out. The sweat dries. But beneath every flower is a history of roots fighting through darkness. Liu Yuning's growth was not vertical. It was deep, and deep growth lasts. This is why his journey speaks beyond music, beyond fame, beyond one name. Speaks to the student studying while others sleep, the creator posting into the void, the worker building a life one uncelebrated a day at a time. It tells them, you are not invisible to the future, because the future remembers everything you give it. Every early morning, every late night, every moment you chose discipline over comfort. Nothing disappears. It transforms. And when the flowers bloom, they do not ask permission. They arrive quietly, yet unmistakably. Suddenly the waiting makes sense. The doubt finds its place. The long road reveals its direction. Not because the journey was easy, but because you stayed. So if you are watching this right now, wondering whether your steps matter, they do. If you feel tired, unseen, or unsure, you are watering something. And one day, perhaps sooner than you think, you will look back and realize the meaning was never at the destination. It was in every step that refused to give up. There is a moment in every long journey when motivation disappears. Not because you no longer care, but because caring has become heavy. This is the moment most people turn back. Liu Yuning didn't. Not because he was fearless, but because he understood something rare. Meaning is not found after success. Meaning is built before it. Every day he chose consistency over excitement, process over praise, growth over comfort. And that choice is lonely.
No headlines announce discipline.
No cameras record perseverance in the dark. No one celebrates the 1,000 times you show up and nothing changes. Except it does change. Quietly. Think of the soil before the flower blooms. From the surface it looks empty. But underneath, roots are spreading, fighting resistance, learning where to grow. This is what Liu Yuning was doing. Developing strength where no one could see. Because surface success without deep roots does not last. There is beauty in this kind of growth. A kind that doesn't rush. A kind that doesn't beg to be noticed. A kind that survives storms because it was built during them. When success finally arrived, it did not define him. It revealed him. The discipline was already there. The character was already formed. The meaning had already been earned. This is why his story feels human. Because it allows space for doubt, for slowness, for imperfection. And yet it never allows space for surrender. In a world obsessed with speed, Liu Yuning chose depth. And depth changes everything. Maybe that's why this story stays with us. Because somewhere in it we recognize ourselves. We see our own unfinished dreams. Our own long nights. Our own steps that feel too small to matter. But here's the truth this journey leaves behind. Small steps don't look powerful until you realize they're the only steps that last. Every drop of sweat you give today is not disappearing. It is soaking into tomorrow. The future is paying attention, even when the present is silent. One day, people will only see the flowers. They will admire the color, the success, the moment. But they will not see the seasons it took to get there. You will. And that is enough. Because you'll know that nothing was wasted. Not the struggle. Not the waiting. Not the steps that almost broke you. So if you are still walking, keep going. If you are tired, rest but don't quit. Because every step has meaning. And every drop of sweat is already watering the future.